more intimidating than Sonny Liston, not even myself.
And Sonny Liston, I watched him here in the gym a few months ago, and he can hit a guy in the elbows and just about break his arm.
The only man to make me back up consistently.
Every time he hit, he broke something.
He was in jail. He got out. He fought his way to the top. He beat everybody in front of him.
Were you scared of Liston? Scared to death.
BoxingPedia log, Fantasy What If number 13. I pondered what would have happened if Sonny Liston survived to fight throughout the 70s back in episode 2 of this series. Some of you, despite my explanation that he was going to experience a second prime similar to other greats like George Foreman, complained that he was too old to make a difference. So today, a young Sonny is turning pro to engage the 70s golden age. First, the background and setup. Since Liston isn't around to dethrone Floyd Patterson in 1962, Patterson's reign extends to 1964, where he is defeated by, of course, Cassius Clay, later Muhammad Ali. Sonny turns pro that same year at 20 years old and initially struggles to find his groove despite remaining undefeated. This leads to the 1967 WBA tournament, in which Sonny gets it in gear and wins it all in 1968, going through the likes of Ernie Terrell, Jerry Quarry, and Jimmy Ellis to do so. Joe Frazier captures the NYSEC title, as in reality, and we're set to crown an undisputed champion soon. The two tune up in 1969 before their clash to open 1970. Again, no mob, no politics, no criminal trouble, or any other BS. I'd imagine it would all go down something like this. It's a new decade, and we have a pre-fight presser between WBA champion Sonny Liston and NYSEC champion Joe Frazier. Liston, who's normally not talkative, claims this will be like shooting fish in a barrel, a complete wipeout. Frazier doesn't take too kind to this and shows he is not intimidated by Sonny by confronting him nose to nose. With neither man backing down and a brawl seemingly on the horizon, the voice of Muhammad Ali bellows through. Frazier looks away, but Liston remains fixated on Joe, staring a hole right through him. Ali calls both of them bums and claims it doesn't matter who wins because they will lose to him. He drops a bombshell. Muhammad Ali has been reinstated as the WBC's champion, and now there are 3 title holders. As Ali and Frazier verbally spar, the Liston camp leaves with Sonny's gaze never breaking away from Joe Frazier. On fight night, we have a doubleheader. Up first, Muhammad Ali resumes his title reign as the unified lineal, ring, and WBC champion by stopping Jimmy Ellis in the 12th of 15 rounds. The champ is back. In the main event, we have Liston versus Frazier. The stare down is potent with bloodlust. Sonny's prediction of fish in a barrel proves true from the start as he overwhelms Frazier with knockdown after knockdown to the shock of everyone. Joe won't stay down, and Sonny won't stop dropping him. Finally, the fight is stopped and Liston is the new unified WBA NYSEC champion. It was a wipeout and puts the world on notice as Frazier heads back to the drawing board. Ali has 2 more title defenses against Jerry Quarry and Oscar Bonavena, while Liston stops Bob Foster to close the year. Ali and Liston signed to unify next year. In 1971, Muhammad Ali drives a mad campaign against Sonny Liston, one that doesn't mentally upseat Sonny, as in this timeline, he's more familiar with Ali's ways. Secretly, it has always been his plan to zip Ali's mouth shut. The campaign also backfires as the public finally tires of Ali's antics and embraces Liston. Ali claims he'll win in 8, but Liston doesn't give a counter prediction. Instead, just staring a hole through Ali. On fight night, Ali comes out and stands flat, trying to knock Sonny out. Looks like he's underestimated him. He scores but punches himself out, and Sonny begins making up ground. Liston scores a knockdown in the final round and goes on to win the decision in a shocker. Charles "Sonny" Liston is the new undisputed heavyweight champion and has taken both Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali's O's. He has also emerged as the beloved People's Champion due to shutting up the lip. Due to the fight being a war, both men take the rest of the year off. Meanwhile, Joe Frazier begins his rebound, and George Foreman continues his knockout derby ascent. In 1972, Sonny Liston has two relatively easy demolition defenses against the two retiring Cleveland Big Cat Williams and Floyd Patterson, and is chastised for coasting, especially by Muhammad Ali. However, none of the top contenders are willing to yet accept a fight against Sonny, so it's not his own fault he's being ducked as champion. No one's willing to take the risk just yet. Ali, Frazier, and Foreman all continue climbing the ranks, culminating in an eliminator between Frazier and Foreman to end the year. Foreman annihilates Frazier, just as Liston did, and Smokin' Joe has got a lot to think about before going forward in his career. George Foreman is the #1 contender. (1973) is opened by a clash of monsters for the heavyweight crown in Jamaica. Big George and the Big Bear used to spar, and according to legend, they were the only men who could force one another on the back foot. Neither are very talkative in the build-up, other than Sonny asking George if he remembers who came out on top in those brutal sparring sessions. The stare down is brutal and uncomfortable. Death gaze galore as neither man will give. The fight opens with a feeling out of jabs, Sonny getting the better. Then George starts roughhousing and forcing Sonny where he wants him to dish punishment. As George's jab breaks through and Liston backs up, the champion goes down for the first time in his career. He answers and a switch goes off in his head. Seemingly upset and embarrassed at going down, Sonny takes the fight to George like no one ever has, save perhaps Ron Lyle in reality, and gets his knockdown back. George answers, and Sonny doesn't let up, throwing everything at George but the kitchen sink. He drops George again, who answers and absorbs a terrible beating for which he is stopped on his feet. Sonny Liston is still undisputed champion. As Sonny takes the rest of the year to tour the world as an ambassador, coming out of his shell now that he is loved, Muhammad Ali suffers a broken jaw setback against Kenny Norton. He bounces back with a victory in which he looks like his 60s self, though it was still close as Norton just seems to have his number. Joe Frazier and George Foreman hit the comeback trail. Frazier wins a war against Joe Buckner and Foreman wins a firefight against Ernie Shavers. A fight we lost in reality because Shavers kept suffering setbacks as the Foreman camp sought the bout out. Ali and Frazier will fight to determine the #1 contender to open 1974, and the Liston camp announces Ken Norton will receive a title shot. (1974) is opened by a star-studded doubleheader. First up, Muhammad Ali maintains his dancing form by outpointing Joe Frazier over 12 rounds to become #1 contender. He said he would beat Frazier as he did Patterson a decade ago, and that's just what he did. Joe Frazier is urged to seriously consider retirement. In the main event, Sonny Liston is troubled by the awkward style of Ken Norton before scoring a later-than-expected knockout win. Is Liston's newfound popularity taking his edge? We'll see. Muhammad Ali advertises he will correct his folly from the first fight against Liston. Liston retorts that he will knock out Ali in the first round and shut his mouth for good. In Zaire, an overconfident Liston is bamboozled by an Ali who more so resembles the one he watched capture the title a decade ago. Though not as poignant, Ali's speed and reflexes coupled with his slashing power leave Liston a bloody mess. It doesn't help that Liston has an injured shoulder, depriving him of his jab. Sonny quits on his stool before the 8th and the crowd boos him and throws trash without even attempting to understand the man's plight. Liston's shame overshadows Ali's victory, placing a chip on the new two-time champ's shoulder. Liston is devastated by the hatred and disappears. George Foreman, after knocking out Ken Norton in devastating fashion, puts on a show by knocking out 5 guys in one night, and it earns him the ire of the public, as in reality. In 1975, the Liston camp activates the rematch clause. Sonny isn't even seen until the weigh-in, where he never once breaks his gaze on Muhammad Ali. Ali himself is also quite serious, saying he'll do his talking in the ring. In the ring, the tension is fierce. Ali opens fast, dancing like the old days before BAM! Liston goes down from a counter right. The Phantom Punch, however, doesn't keep Liston down in this reality. He rises and scores a controversial knockdown on Ali. Similar to Chuck Wepner in reality, Liston hit Ali with a body shot while stepping on his foot. It was counted anyway. Ali gets up and turns up the heat on Liston, cutting his face up again. Liston, desperate, gets ointment in Ali's eyes via his gloves and makes up ground. However, Ali recovers to stop Liston late in the 15th and final round. Liston's attempt at cheating earns him further scorn, and Ali becomes beloved for overcoming the madness. Sonny is suspended indefinitely. The Thriller in Manila closes the title picture later in the year, but this time, Ali fails to come out for the 15th, and Joe Frazier becomes undisputed champion while behind on the cards and thought to be past his best days. What a career comeback for Smokin' Joe. Ron Lau closes the year by outslugging Ernie Shavers to earn an eliminator bout against George Foreman. 1976 is opened by the monstrous slugfest between George Foreman and Ron Lau, of which Foreman wins. Crazy part is, that ain't it. The main event of the night is Joe Frazier's first title bout. The Ali camp was outbidded by the Liston camp, and their fighter, in his return from suspension, has a chance to become a 2-time champion. The odds say Liston will demolish Frazier again, but his ring rust proves detrimental, as a rejuvenated Smokin' Joe appears to be fighting for his life. It culminates in Liston eating the nastiest left hook in boxing history, which knocks him out cold. It takes 5 minutes to wake Liston up after. Maybe Sonny should have eased his way back in. Up next, George Foreman gets a shot and becomes a 2-time champion by destroying Joe Frazier again, as in reality. Frazier retires, and Big George is back on top. As Muhammad Ali regains the top contender spot, the Foreman camp instead handpicks Sonny Liston for a title shot to end the year, promising the winner will face Ali. In the Foreman-Liston rematch, George has his way and enforces his will on Sonny, who appears to have regressed and lost his former glory. Having already lost 3 straight, it becomes 4. Sonny is stopped in the 3rd, and George Foreman appears invincible. Now it's Liston who may have to contemplate his career path. 1977 is opened by Foreman Ali in Puerto Rico, and it unfolds as reality's Zaire did, with George underestimating Muhammad and suffering a knockout via exhaustion. Ali advertises he has now beaten the master and the student, 2 big bad monsters, to become the first ever 3-time world heavyweight champion. In a shocking development, both Ali and Foreman retire after the bout. Ali has nothing left to prove, and Foreman has come to God. You talk about a gaping hole in the division, the big 3 appear to be gone. The heavyweight crown is vacant and a gold rush tournament ensues. Notable is that Ken Norton suffers an injury in his demolition of Dwayne Bobbitt beforehand and will miss the tournament. Sonny finds himself all over again, just in time, as he did 10 years ago in the WBA tournament. He goes through Jimmy Young, Ernie Shavers, and Ron Lau to meet a young Larry Holmes in the finals. Larry is bold and valiant, showing off a jab that rivals Liston's, but it just ain't his time yet. And Sonny Liston joins Floyd Patterson, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, and George Foreman in becoming a 2-time heavyweight champion via unanimous decision victory. 1978 sees the Liston camp grant Ken Norton a title shot, some goodwill due to Norton's unfortunate injury last year. Norton gets into the best shape of his career and comes in capitalizing on his minor success against Liston from the first bout. Sonny struggles again, and when he does turn the tide and stun Norton, the Black Hercules shows off his newest skill, tying his man up. In the end, a split decision is awarded to Ken Norton and he is finally the heavyweight champion. Liston believes he won, but is a good sport regardless and ponders retirement. Next, Norton defends the title against a renewed Larry Holmes, who wins a likewise split decision, as in reality. The hot potato has been crazy in this reality, wouldn't you say? The Holmes camp grants Liston a chance, looking to stage a big money revenge narrative stemming from the Gold Rush tournament. Holmes and Liston close the year in a battle of the jabs, age versus youth. This time around, Larry shows his greatness and puts on a boxing masterclass against the aging Sonny Liston. There are some spurts here and there, but it seems Sonny's career tank is on fumes now. To his credit, Sonny survived some trouble here and there, refusing to allow Larry to stop him. The difference is staggering between this Larry and the one Sonny fought a year earlier. The crowd rallies behind Sonny as the fight goes on. It's a unanimous decision for Larry Holmes, who goes on to rule the division until 1985, as in reality. Sonny announces his retirement shortly after the fight at the age of 34. 48 wins, 6 losses, 37 knockouts, 7 title defenses, 2-time undisputed champion and master of tournaments. His inclusion in the 70s in full seems to have boosted the legacies of other greats as well, given Joe Frazier and George Foreman also became 2-time champions. Liston was 50-4 in reality, but I think his record dropping to 48-6 stands stronger just because of the stiffer competition he faced here. Still, 54 fights overall? What a coincidence. The Champions Forever documentary years later now also features Liston, who has a victory over each of the other kings. He beat Holmes, Norton, Foreman, Frazier, and even Ali in this timeline. He has an argument for being the best of them all in boxing circles of debate. The golden age shines even brighter. And that'll do it. Like and subscribe. You can become a member if you'd like special perks or to just further support BoxingPedia. This has been the Charles Jackson, author of the Boxing Encyclopedia, and I'll see you in my next log. Stay frosty, keep punching, and thank you.